Good afternoon and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world and that you're one day closer to your dreams, prayers, hopes, and aspirations coming true. Of course, my podcast wouldn't be a podcast without a poem, so today won't be any different. And this poem is taken from my book, Black Book 2, available now where books are sold. And this poem is called Confident Black Man. There is a difference between arrogance and confidence. Most men of color don't have the luxury of being lackadaisical about their lives. We have been taught since birth to be exceptional at everything we do. Run faster, jump higher, play harder, comprehend faster, do whatever it takes to be the best of the best. We have been taught that in order to succeed, we had to be 10 times better. Let me say it again, 10 times better than our Caucasian counterparts. Some of us are college educated, street educated, hard knocks life educated. But we all have one thing in common. It's our supposed threat to white America. We have all had individual struggles and challenges to face daily to keep our families together and protected, keep our finances in order, stay prayed up, and keep our heads in check and in the game, because it is a game and we play to win by any means necessary. Every time we open our eyes, to simply make it home alive is an achievement in this life. We are not a threat to anyone unless we must be. It is your issue. It is your perception. It is your cross to bear, not ours. The fear has been viral for generations. When will it end? The stigma attached to be a confident black man. I just thought I'd share something a little different from one of my previous books that really was in conjunction with my subject matter for today. And today's subject matter is black man. So you lost your job. Don't panic. And I decided to do that particular subject because I just wanted to talk about the state of the world, the economy, the energy that's going on right now in this country, but not from a political standpoint, just from an everyday trying to make it through type experience. And I wanted to talk about unemployment, especially from the black experience, losing your job. Like, what does that mean for you, your family, people you're close to, for yourself? And of course, I'm going to use myself as an example, as always. And I first want to start by saying that losing your job is something that's part of life. You know, we've all gone through it at least one time, whether we've gotten fired, we walked off a job, or they just simply laid us off. It's never good. All those versions are definitely not an experience you want to deal with, but sometimes things happen. But I want to talk about first the state of mind that you got to have now, to me, when you lose your job, because I feel like nobody really told me. I had to kind of figure it out. And I'm talking about the mental part, the actual state of mind that you have when you lose your job. Because I think the first thing most of us do is panic. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I remember the first time I lost my job. I was working at a record company, which I told you about before. I was working at BMG Distribution in my 20s. And I actually loved working at this job. And it was the first time I'd ever gotten laid off from a job, ever. So, and I was like I said, in my early 20s. And it was a week before Thanksgiving. And I believe I was going home for the holidays that year. And I lost my job literally right before the holidays. And I couldn't believe it, the time I had put into that company. And, I really enjoyed it. I couldn't believe they were laying me off. And I was so depressed and so angry and so devastated, for lack of a better word. And it was the beginning of a journey into job loss, that whole experience of losing a job. But again, people were trying to tell me, it's going to be okay, and, my friends and family and whatnot. But I was experiencing it. So nobody really knew totally what I was feeling and how I was feeling it. But thank God I managed to get past that time. But it did prepare me for future situations like that. Fast forwarding to now, what I want to say is the first thing when you lose a job is don't panic. Take a deep breath. Just own it. I'm no longer working at this particular company or for this particular person. And first I say now is do something for yourself. Take the time out to treat yourself to lunch, dinner, do something for yourself. Because the next few weeks and months are going to be challenging, looking for a new opportunity. And that's what I call it, new opportunity. Do something for yourself. And preferably do it alone before you start telling people that you just lost your job. I just lost my job. And you get those conversations like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I say do something for yourself first before you embark on sharing it with people, if you choose to share it with people, and before you start looking for a job. And then the second thing, put yourself on a schedule when you're going to look for a job. And what I mean by that, get up whatever time you choose and I'm going to job hunt for 2 hours, 3 hours. I would do it for at least 2 hours. I'm going to job hunt. I'm going to post my resume. You decide how many sites you want to be on, how many positions you want to apply for. And then I would stop. Do something else. Listen to some music or watch a movie. But give yourself 2 hours every day of dedicated time to look for a job. Now, I would also sit down and figure out my bills. What do I need to work on? What do I need to, what's going to be priority? So you got to get your priorities in order in terms of your finances. How much money do you have in the bank? What you're working with? And what the next 3 or 4 months are going to look like. And if you need to draw unemployment, also start that process. Going through the unemployment. Again, it's a process and it does take time, and every state is different in terms of applying for unemployment. But I say get that process started. If you don't know how to apply for unemployment, and if you've never had unemployment, ask somebody. There's nothing worse than not asking. Put your pride aside and say, can you help me through this process? If you're not computer savvy or computer literate, ask somebody to help you. You can go to the library. It's free if you don't have access to the internet or Wi-Fi. Don't try to do it on your phone. If you don't, like I said, if you're not computer savvy, get somebody to help you. And when I mean get somebody to help you, somebody that's positive that wants to help you. Don't get nobody that's giving you the impression that they want to help you, but they really don't. They don't care whether you have a job. They don't care whether you get a good job or another job. Know who you're calling and let them know how important it is to you. But still getting back to that 2 hours, I'm going to dedicate 2 hours to looking for another job. And then decide, do you want to go back to the job industry that you were in, or do you want to do something completely different? I'm a firm believer in don't just grab anything. That was the advice I used to get. Just grab something so you'll have a job. If you're in a position where you don't have to do that, I say don't do it. Get what you want. because then you end up stuck at a job that you just grabbed with no intention of leaving, or you just get comfortable. So I would recommend trying to get what you want as opposed to just grabbing something. Now, if you're in a position where you can just grab something and you're focused and you're able to, you know, juggle it while you're looking for another job, then by all means do that. But also, in conjunction with what I'm talking about, I really want to talk about your state of mind. Focus on being better, being in a better position. Now, people will say, you know, God is going to bless you with something better, which is definitely true. I definitely believe in that. But what I'm saying is, nobody knows your experience better than you. You know, whether you had a good supervisor or a good manager. Some of us are in toxic positions. Sometimes being laid off is a good thing because it kind of forces you to get something better. But also, don't be afraid to educate yourself. Too, there's a lot of free things on YouTube, things to better your skill set so you can get a better position. And the whole purpose in this podcast is talking to those people that have lost their jobs or who are discouraged, because I have been that brother more than once. And it's nothing against black women in terms of, or women, period. It's just that black men have a harder time than most when it comes to getting, and I'm talking about people that don't have tainted backgrounds, like criminal backgrounds or drug backgrounds. I'm talking about just a regular, educated, high school graduate, whatever person that doesn't have any blemishes on their record trying to get a really good job. Because, again, I don't know from experience, but I know that people that have criminal backgrounds or challenging backgrounds have a even harder time at getting a job. And we have to know where to go for resources. I don't think there are a lot of resources available to us that we have easy access to. So we have to ask those questions. For example, I was on food stamps for the first time during COVID. After COVID, when we were recovering from COVID, you know, I was trying to get my finances back in order, and I went through some very deep struggles with my money. So for the first time, I applied for food stamps, a food card. I never lived in Atlanta for 32 years, never lost jobs before, but never was on food stamps, like never. I call them food stamps. It's really a food card, but I grew up, I personally wasn't on food stamps, but I knew what they were. But as a single black man, I didn't know you could apply for food stamps. I didn't realize that was an amenity for single people. I thought it was only for mothers, fathers, and single people that had children. So to my surprise, you know, my godson told me, you know, you apply for food stamps. You know, that's what you do. And it was the best thing. And I'm saying that to say, use your resources. Use your resources. They're there for a reason. And that's why you have to be careful about who you associate with, because some people don't tell you, like nobody told me, that we have resources when it comes to our money and things that we have access to. And you have to watch the people that aren't quick to tell you about things that we have access to. It's part of our government. It's a program there for a reason. You got food pantries. You have all the churches, all these different places to provide a resource for you. But the other thing also is, don't let your pride get in the way. That's a big challenge for most black men, even myself. And it's something I still struggle with. Don't let your pride keep you from getting ahead or getting that next opportunity. Humble yourself and do what you need to do to get to the next chapter of your life. And it's a mental thing. Again, it is mental. And if you're married or in a relationship with somebody, be honest with them about your finances and don't be afraid to pull out the bills. Now is not the time to be that person. It's not. And if you need to borrow some money, be honest about when you're going to be able to pay it back. Just be honest. Say, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay this back right away. If you need to sign something to make them feel comfortable, sign it. You know, own it. You know, whether it's something small or something big, own it. And then the other thing, if you're in an apartment or in a house, don't be afraid to downsize. If you need to move, move. If you think it's going to be something that's going to be a challenge for you, then by all means move. And what I mean by that, if you have to move in with someone, ask ahead before you just move. Don't show up at nobody's doorstep with all your stuff. Just try to prepare yourself. And I've had people stay with me, and I've stayed with other people. And all I'm going to say about that is it's their house, it's their rules. So I have my own personal beliefs. Like if you're staying with someone, clean up behind yourself, wash dishes, take out the trash, whatever you need to do, especially if you're not paying them anything. If they're allowing you to stay there, do the right thing. Don't try to socialize. If you don't have your own place, that's not the time or place to be socializing. In terms of trying to have dates and you don't have a place to live. I don't recommend doing that at somebody's house. You're actually there temporarily. So I would suggest going to other people's houses if you want to socialize, if you want to have sex, whatever it is. I don't think you should be doing that at someone's house that you're literally temporarily staying at. And they shouldn't have to tell you that. If they don't smoke, then don't smoke in their house. If you smoke weed, don't smoke in their house. Don't smoke outside. Go somewhere else. You're staying there as a guest who's down on his luck. So again, if they don't want to give you a key and they said you got to be in here by 12, unless you got somewhere else to go, be in there by 12. And I'm saying all this to say that we're living in a different time, and people already have issues with people staying with them. They don't need no trouble. And again, know who you're staying with. And then if you want to move, then prepare to move somewhere else. And again, the whole point is you're trying to survive until your situation is corrected. And I'm not trying to be negative about it. I guess I'm just trying to be realistic to where it's even more challenging in this America to have a job. And I'll probably do another podcast on it, on some of my personal experiences that I've had with job loss. And I'm one of the few people that has still recovering from COVID and the whole challenging, and what I mean, the financial challenges. The economy is different. The cost of living is higher. So we have to reassess our goals, our priorities, and that's what I'm saying. We have to learn to be more cautious, particular, even as single people with single households in terms of financial obligations and whatnot. And honestly, I have a lot more compassion for people that have families, single people, single dads, single moms, grandparents that are taking care of their kids, foster parents, because I've never had children. So I don't know the struggle. I've struggled by myself. I've never struggled with children. So I can only imagine the mental state that imposes. But I still get back to humbling yourself and being honest with people. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get mad. You're going to get upset. You're going to get frustrated. You're not going to, even when you interview, don't take the first job that offers you something. And again, I'm speaking from experience. Let them chase you down. Unless you have to take something again, take your time. Take your time. I wish somebody had told me to take my time. And if you do find a job, that's okay. That's tolerable. Keep looking while you're working. Don't be satisfied. Don't get comfortable. Keep your options open, because I wish somebody had told me. Jobs that I was at way too long, that I should have left. I say if you want to give them 2 to 5 years, great. But if you're talking about retirement, staying there to 30, 40 years, make sure that's where you want to be. Do your research, extensive research on this position. When I say look at the benefits, bonuses, everything. Look at everything. And don't be afraid to ask those questions when you're going on job interviews. They're not doing you a favor. So they're lucky to have you. So when you're interviewing people, and I'm probably going to do a podcast on that as well, because I don't like the advice people gave me about the interviewing process. Interview them like they're interviewing you. It may come off a little arrogant. I'm not going to tell you how to say it or when to say it, but it's an interview process on both sides of the table. So Interview them when they ask you, do you have any questions? Have some questions. Have some questions. Even if it's something that's like vacation time or sick time, don't let these companies manipulate you into thinking something that they're not. And again, this is something I wish someone had told me. And getting back to my point is I want to encourage people to find the job or the opportunity that works for them. I regret being at a job that I was just existing and I hated it. And again, I don't want to encourage anybody to just accept mediocrity as normal. Because I personally believe that we all deserve great vacations. Whether you're going by yourself or taking your family, we all deserve a good life, a good balanced life. Which brings me to my other point. Whether you're looking for a job or you already have a job, you got to have a good work-life balance. I wish I had known that also. You can't just be work, 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 work. Enjoy your life. Enjoy the journey. Go to the park. Go to a movie. Sometimes take a nap, but enjoy your life. Enjoy your children that you're struggling for. Why are you doing it? Enjoy the people around you. Like I said, take yourself out to lunch. Take yourself out to dinner. Enjoy your people while you're looking, while you're struggling. Don't just work to be working. Again, life is too short. Life is too short. And don't get your head wrapped around wanting the perfect job. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. So, because I've been on jobs where the manager that hired me left, and then I got a horrible manager in replacement. There's no such thing as the perfect job. There just isn't. And fortunately for me, I've always had side hustles also. So I've always managed to have other means of support financially. But again, the whole point in this is to just remind you that you're human. You're not the first person to lose their job. You won't be the last person. And then also to pay it forward, to help other people with their resources when it comes to getting a job. I used to have a fax machine back when fax machines were a thing, and I would let my friends come over or they would give me a copy of their resume, and if they needed me to fax it for them, I would just fax it. We have to lean on each other more than ever. And again, put our pride aside. Literally put our pride aside and handle our business. Because again, they're trying to, They're trying to erase us. And by any means necessary. And I don't want my nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, to anybody in my family, anybody that I know to struggle. We shouldn't have to struggle like this. If I want to take my family to Disney World, I should be able to do that. It shouldn't be because we're black men that we have to struggle our whole lives. Some of us want more for our children, more for our families, even for our friends. And I hate seeing people struggle, especially when they're trying to go back to school, trying to just do more. Like, for example, if I was given the opportunity, I probably would have had at least one child, even if it was via a surrogate. I know I would have done it. If I'd had the means to have a child via surrogate and I had the means to do it, I would have done it. Maybe even had 2 kids. And to see my white counterparts, gay and straight, have those opportunities that I feel cheated. There's a lot of things that I feel cheated that I work hard. I've never asked anybody for anything. I work hard for everything. I grind till I own it. I hustle. I do beans and rice. If it's something that I want, I have no issue with it. Whatever sacrifices I need to make, I will make them. And I've always done that. I know how to provide for myself. I know how to keep from starving. And again, it's an attitude. You got to adjust your attitude daily, every day. Don't panic. You're going to get another job. You're going to get another opportunity. And I personally like doing podcasts that I feel like can help people. I think that's what, when I went into this podcasting journey, I want to help people. I want to tell people about my struggles, and I want them to know what I've gone through so they can have an easier life. And that's the whole point for me. Some people might be saying, "Oh, what does Mose think he know? What is he talking about?" Somebody out there knows. People are listening, and they want to be educated. And I want to talk about home ownership, my experiences with home ownership, renting your first apartment, going to the grocery store and shopping for food. I want to talk about all those things down the road because I know, I wish somebody had told me some things in more detail, or maybe I should have just asked more questions. But anyway, I just want to say, as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, that you're one day closer to your dreams, prayers, and hopes coming true. I do hope you got something from this podcast today. Thank you for listening.